Okay, another jumble sentence. How many sentences? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7 sentences. Okay. Okay, let's identify a topic sentence, which is the first thing. Have you been able to identify the topic sentence here? Let's look at it. A lot of you have come back and said C is the topic sentence. Let's quickly look at it. A seems like a topic sentence. B seems like a topic sentence. C also. Okay, the well-regulated markets fell, requiring intervention to put under cash. We definitely know that E, F, and G are not topic sentences. We'll have to choose between A, B, C, and D. Okay. Any repeat words, phrases you're able to identify? Or even what can I say? Synonyms, right? Not even related words, but it can also be synonyms. Economic growth, economic implications, slow down, markets fell, prevent a crash, okay. Not very reassuring. Then last week, we pay attention to sequence here. Words that give sequence. Depreciation, yes, that's a repeat word. Economies, economy. Okay, so we have an idea about what this passage is about, right? We understand, obviously they're referring to China, right? China is repeated at least in 4-5 sentences, right? And they're talking about the economy of China. So if, let's go with most of you said C is a topic sentence, right? C, A, D, E, F, G, B. Okay. Gaurav and Pavan. Okay. Super. Now, if you're saying C, news about the Chinese economy has not been very reassuring in recent weeks. Why? One way in which I can logically connect. Why is it not? Then you guys say A. China's economic growth has been slowing down. Okay. That at least answers the question why. Okay. So how has it been slowing down? And then you say D. D says the well-regulated stock markets fell, requiring intervention to prevent a crash. So answering the question why A says slowing down, what actually happened? D answers that question, the markets fell. How has it been slowing down? Because the markets fell, requiring intervention to prevent a crash. Okay. CAD seems good so far. I'm going to put Shailesh's also. Just some difference. B, C, A, D, E, F, G. Okay, this is Shailesh's. So Shailesh says, hey, let's start with B. The economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. Okay, let's hold that thought. So you also have this sequence. CAD is so far aligned with Gaurav and Pawan. This is that you put B right in front. And then you follow the same. EFG also is the same. So it's just that you're saying B is somewhere in the topic sentence. These guys are saying, hey, let's throw it out. Okay. Throw it at the bottom. Let's look at it. So this is what happened first, which is the markets fell. Then last week in terms of sequence, first this happened, then what happened? Last week the People's Bank of China devalued the yuan 3 times in 3 days. Okay, their currency. The yen 3 times in 3 days. So because they devalued their currency, what happened? Trigger the possibility. So what happened or what will happen as a result? Right, that's the question. If this happens, this could, right? There's a possibility. This could trigger the possibility of competitive depreciations in emerging market economies, including India. And then there is an example. Now, if you look at the example, why does G has to follow F? Let's look at it quickly. If, for instance, the Reserve Bank of India allows the rupee to depreciate further, economy's relative competitive position vis-a-vis Chinese goods, India would lose the advantage of falling commodity prices, especially oil prices in world markets. So, obviously, they are referring to the competitive position in emerging markets economies, including India, and they've given an example. What could happen? So, if RBI does this, allows the rupees to depreciate further, just so they want to kind of hold back the economy's relative competitive position, India would lose the advantage. So, this is an example kind of supporting or expanding on F. We have B. The economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. So, I think the reason why B would stand good as a closing sentence is simply because the entire context is revolving around, it starts off predominantly, the passage is revolving around the Chinese economy, right? So that's topic sentences, and then they are relating it. So having looked at possible options and examples of what could be the possibility if this is the situation, and then the closing sentence. So Shailesh, just to kind of, you've got all the other sequence right. CAD seems fine, EFG seems fine, but it makes more sense for B to remain at the close simply because the paragraph is revolving around China predominantly first. And then this almost is like a closing sentence saying the economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. So the expectation is, yes, to be on the downside, right? So we can't have that becoming a topic sentence because there's not much discussed in terms of the investment flows and the implications for global markets. They're only kind of predominantly referring to China. So it makes sense for C to become the topic sentence because a repeat word, right? China is repeated throughout the context multiple times. And that's the only reason. Now, Karishma says, FBG, can this be possible? Let's look at it. So, this could trigger the possibility of competitive depreciations, which, what is discussed in E, right? Devaluing the currency. If your currency is devalued, logically F has to follow E. But she's saying, why not B and then G? The only reason being, right, this example is only expanding on what is explained in F, and that's the only reason. Okay, addressing Manuja's question, right? She's saying, why can't it be ACD? Why should it be CAD? Because C is kind of setting the foundation saying your clue words is news, right? So the underlying message or foundation, what do you need to know about the Chinese economy, has not been very reassuring in recent weeks. Why? Because it's been slowing down. How? So in terms of logical connect, it makes sense for C to follow A and not the other way around. Why is this news not reassuring? Because the economic growth has been slowing down. And how is it slowing down? D. This is what happened. Stock markets fell. So in terms of logic, it makes this. So Gaurav and Pavan correct. I don't know who else got the sequence right. That wouldn't make logical sense, no, Sai. Just think about it. Read the context and see. News about the Chinese economy has not been very reassuring in recent weeks. Why? What happened? Their economic growth has been slowing down. How did it happen? The well-regulated stock markets fell. Would that make more sense? Or if I say, Chinese economy has not been reassuring in recent weeks, the well-regulated stock markets fell, China's economic growth has been slowing down, right? So, in terms of answering questions and looking at the predominant repeat word, the right sequence is C, A, D, E, F, G, B. E, F. In fact, I would say B, G. I'm so sorry. I missed out on that. Both of you said, I'm looking at the last two context, right? If you look closely, I think B would come before G. Let's look. Because the economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. And then it makes sense because G is kind of expanding on that, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm going to kind of go back and, relook at this last three contexts. I'm looking at F. F says this could trigger the possibility of competitive depreciations in emerging market economies, including India. And then the economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. An example of B. How is it going to be adverse? And explains on that. Yeah. So I'm slight difference, guys. Gaurav, Pavan and Shailesh. I'm going to move B in front of G. So let's put the final sequence here. Now it will make sense. C, A, D, E, F and B, G. This is the right sequence, right? Yeah, because the explanation of for global markets, including China and India, is explained here in G. So this is, F is just saying, if you devalue the currency, it could trigger the possibility of competitive depreciation in emerging market, including India. And then G is almost expanding on what can be the global market situation. And this example is including India and China. So yes, I know. No. Including India is just saying this is the situation. If this is what happens, even India will be affected. But G is more of an example on B. The economic implications for global markets and patterns of international investment flows are expected to be adverse. And this is an example of that. How can it be adverse? So, in my case, this is my final C, A, D, E, F, B, G. Yeah.